Run It Studios is the home of the Run Radio podcast and runradio.net, a podcast and station about the relentless, resilient, and innovative types, inspiring strides in life, business, and beyond. Welcome back to the Run Radio podcast. My name's Trina Wilcox. Here at Run It Studios, we talk a lot about running things. We run our life, our business, our health, and that's something we're going to talk today with Jess Lowery. Welcome. You're with Cereset. So tell me a little bit about what this thing is and how it can help us all.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me, by the way.
Of course.
So Cereset, it starts with the name. Cereset stands for cerebrum reset. So that's what we do. We help people reset their brains because everybody has stress in their life, right? Whether it's mental impact or physical impact, there's stressors hitting us all day, every day. So we help people get back to a more balanced state with their brain so that they can be more resilient, have a better mood, and get more sleep are some of the top things that we see with Cereset.
So, how did this all begin? Because usually the first thing people do is not even realize that something can be done when they have all of this stress, if they even recognize the stress.
Yeah. So the Springfield area Cereset came into being. My boss and the owner of Cereset Springfield, her name's Diana Yule. She is a counselor here in town, and she went to a continuing education course where she learned about Cereset, and it was helping people who were struggling with addictions. She herself struggled with insomnia for quite a while. So she tried the technology out on her own, had such amazing results that she said, I've got to bring this to my clients. Got to bring it to Springfield and share the word. So she and I have been good friends for a while. So she introduced me, and I've been there for about 2 years now. But we've been having a great time helping people in the community just live healthier lives.
And you guys can take a look at the Cereset.com's website and see a video. You kind of get a little bit of an idea of how this works, but can you walk us through the process?
Yeah. So clients come in and we use EEG technology. So kind of like they would use in a hospital, but we're not medical. We use it in a way where the EEG reads the brainwaves. It takes that information and turns it into an audio tone and plays that back to the client. So in real time, clients are hearing a audio version of their brain, and that allows their brain to recognize patterns, pick up on things, and relax and reset itself.
Really? Now, to me, I would think if it's hearing that stress, it would just feed off of that. How does that not happen?
Yeah, so it's not, guaranteed that it's going to change. Your brain's going to do what it's going to do, right? So in our practice, our technology doesn't force anything on your brain. It doesn't, force changes. Um, but we've seen through our clinical research and our many clients that when it sees patterns of unhealthy, brave brain wavelengths, it will naturally want to reset and get back to our harmonious rhythm.
Oh, okay. And you will even work on children?
Yes. So they do have to sit still because the EEG technology will, be a little distorted if they're moving around quite a bit. And we want children to be comfortable in the chair. So again, it's nothing that we ever force on anybody, but as long as the child is willing and able to sit still and they're, in a good headspace, we're able to see kids, I think, as young as 5.
How long does something like this take? Do you come in and it's a one and done, or is there a certain amount of time someone should plan on committing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So everybody at our office starts with 5 visits. The first wellness package is a session or a group of 5 sessions. The first 4 are usually between 2 weeks or 4 weeks in time. So you have one every, 4 days or one every 7 days, somewhere in that rhythm. And we assess the client's health levels, their schedules to try to determine that. But after that, the first 4, we give you a week to 4 weeks break. And then we have you come in for it's called an integration session. And that allows us to see what changes stayed put, what things we need to focus on continuing to improve. So after the first 5, clients start doing what are called tune-up sessions. And those are based more frequency wise on what we've seen in the data and what clients are still wanting to achieve. So that may be, we've got some clients coming in once a month to try to continue working on, better sleep habits or dealing with stress. And then we've got some clients who have such great success with the first five that they're like, I'll see you in a year. We'll do a tune up just every year or so, just kind of check in and keep this good pattern going.
So for someone that may, I know, sorry, what time, like, is there a certain time of day that is better for certain clients to come in?
That's a really great question. It does depend some on what the clients are trying to achieve.
Okay.
So, for clients who are struggling with insomnia, it's really better to do them later in the day, or I'm sorry, earlier in the morning,
Oh, okay.
because it can kind of wear you out a little bit. So, if you have it too late in the day, it can mess with, if you take a nap during your session, you might have that nap at like 5 o'clock and then you're not able to sleep that night. So, for somebody working on sleep, I would probably recommend earlier in the day. But really, we haven't noticed too much about like certain times of the days mess with people. Um, if we have a client who's like, I tried a 9 o'clock session and it just wore me out the entire day. Could I try it in the afternoon? We can always adjust that too.
So I see on your list of challenges folks might experience, memory loss is one of those. So is that something that someone, if say Alzheimer's or dementia runs in their family, would it be advantageous for them to come in and, even if maybe they haven't started seeing signs yet,
Mhm.
would that be something that might be preventative for them?
Absolutely. We kind of put it in perspective of it's not going to cure or treat anything. We can't say that about the technology, but it might be something that helps kind of kick the can down the road, right?
Okay.
We can't necessarily say we prevent any sort of disease, but if we're keeping your brain healthier for a longer period of time and just pushing that back a few years and you have more years of active life, that's, a huge benefit for a lot of our clients. We actually have some protocols that are called mental clarity and
Hmm.
anti-aging designs. So that is a perfect example of someone who would be a good fit is somebody who's seen that pattern in their family and they're trying to do the best that they can to remain healthy and keep their memory as long as possible.
Now, since this isn't medical, you don't need a doctor referral or note or anything like that, do you? Can an individual just
Correct.
come on in and make an appointment with you?
Correct. Yes. Referrals are not necessary. You can just give us a call and we'd be happy to chat to see if you'd be a good candidate and get on the schedule.
Do you have some testimonials you can share? I imagine you've got quite a bit of stories
Yeah.
over the time you've been there.
Yeah. So some of my favorite stories, I've got one client who she is still working with us to get her sleep improved, but she started getting, when she first came in, she was getting just a few hours of sleep at night, 3 or 4 hours of sleep at night. And we all know if you're not sleeping, nothing else is falling in line health wise, right?
Right.
So sleep is super important to the rest of our well being. So throughout her first 5 sessions, she's really started noticing an increase in her sleep. So I think we got her to about 5 hours of sleep a night after her 5 sessions. And then she's been really diligent about coming in about once a month. And just this week, I talked to her. She's getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. She
Oh.
has, I think, either a watch or an Aura ring that tracks her sleep. So she's seeing the amount of deep sleep that she's getting improve. She's feeling so much better and dealing with stress better. She had an issue with her neighbor where it was kind of a minor conflict, but it was causing her to not sleep at night. And she works from home. So it was causing some issues with that. And she's like, Jess, I was able to call her up and calmly have a conversation about what we could do to address it. The neighbor
Oh.
was super nice. I was not scared to talk to her, and she responded so well to me. A few years ago, I wouldn't have been able to make that phone call. I would have just dealt with it. So not only have we improved her sleep, but we've improved like the confidence she has and the ability to deal with stressful situations to where she's able to kind of tackle things more confidently and easily now.
What about some of your younger clients? What have their experiences been like in their testimonials?
Yeah. So we actually have a technologist at the office. Her name's Erin. She sees a lot of the kiddos. I don't see too many of the kiddos. She's kind of our kid specialist. She's got a background in education. So she sees more of those. But she has some kiddos who really deal with stress and anxiety. We're starting to see it younger and younger. And it's so sad. But, kids are coming in with anxiety and just really struggling at school, so we've had kids who are able to focus better at school, sit still longer at school, be more active in the playground with friends. So different things like that.
How long is a session?
So actually in the chair ranges, oh, I think I muted myself. Nope, sorry. Actually in the chair ranges anywhere between like 36 minutes to the max we can do is like 64. And I hardly ever do that. Um, So actually listening to the sounds is anywhere between like half an hour to an hour. We change the sensors out, so that takes a little bit of time. And then we usually do a verbal check in with our clients to subjectively see how they're doing. So we rate different categories on satisfaction scores. So we can gauge that way too how they're doing. So overall, to answer your question, a session can run anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours long.
Okay. And so how many locations do you have across the US?
Yeah. Yep. We're in the US. We have a couple internationally as well. I think we have about 60.
Okay. And then one here in Springfield, Missouri?
Yep.
And
Just one here in Springfield. There's a location in St. Louis that's pretty new, actually. And then one in Kansas City. And I think Bentonville or Fayetteville, one of those areas has one as well. So those are the more local ones that are near us.
can you talk a little more about where the research is going? I mean, are there changes that you are waiting to see or watching for as you guys keep doing the work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate you asking that question because our company is constantly changing and evolving. I've only been there for 2 years and they've already made adjustments to how you run certain protocols or the length of time that you run them or how often that you run them.
Mhm.
So for an example, when I first started, you were doing your first 4 sessions back to back days.
Oh.
So we've noticed that the technology is so strong and it's actually best to space it out and give your brain a little bit more time in between. And that's something we're learning and adapting so that we can best meet our clients' needs. Um, we're looking at we've done COVID protocols. So obviously, long COVID has affected a lot of people. So they're doing some research on what protocols might help with that, rhythms with that as well. So that's been really cool to see some information come out. They're also trying to make it easier and more accessible. So, for example, making some session times shorter. So, obviously, taking an hour and a half to 2 hours out
Yeah,
of your busy schedule can be really challenging for a lot of people.
sure.
So, by shortening the amount of time, that really helps people if they can come in for 45 minutes or an hour versus hour and a half to 2 hours. That would be very helpful for a lot of people.
So I see anxiety, depression, chronic
Mhm.
stress, all very important things to address. But what about any type of chronic pain issues? Can people benefit from that? I heard you say long COVID, and I know there's a myriad of things that come along with that.
Yeah.
So, what about just chronic conditions and pain?
Yeah. So myself, I have a chronic condition called Addison's disease.
Okay.
So my adrenal glands don't produce cortisol correctly. So I struggle with constant fatigue, nausea, things like that, depression myself. Since doing Cereset, I've stopped my antidepressants. Again, I worked with a doctor. We
Yes.
have to have our clients work with
Yeah.
doctors and do things the right way. You can't just cold turkey stop stuff. So, worked with a doctor to get off my antidepressants. My energy has been night and day different. My nausea, I hardly ever get nauseous in the morning anymore. So, I like my testimony is great for the chronic conditions. um, Chronic pain is a little bit trickier. There are some areas in the brain that are related to pain receptors, and we work on those during sessions. But how your brain reacts to sessions, we can't guarantee anything like that.
Yeah.
And then if it's like a physical ailment where, if you've had amputation, or something is physically broken or dislocated, things like that. You know, just resetting your brain's not going to get rid of that
Yeah,
pain if it's a physical thing. So
right.
yeah.
Excellent. Very
Yeah.
interesting. I love it. I might need to try this for some of my things on
Yeah.
my list too.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to share that I haven't thought to ask?
Yes, I would love to share. We recently partnered with a nonprofit called the Lee Gertis Foundation. So he was the founder of Cereset. He passed away about a year ago. And when he passed away, he wanted a foundation to be set up in his honor, where first responders, military personnel, and veterans can receive sessions for free. So that has been a huge blessing to several people in our community. I myself, my husband's a first responder, so it's been something that really tugs at my heart that we can
Hmm.
help people who are struggling with PTSD, insomnia, high stress loads from these jobs, help get back to a normal way of living. Some of those clients have talked about, they're relating to their family better. They're not reacting to their kids as quickly. So they have seen a better relationship with their spouse or their kids. But with this foundation, like I mentioned, we are offering free consultations for those individuals so they can see if they're a good fit. And then we reduce our price at the office, and then the foundation takes care of the costs. So
Oh,
the
wonderful.
partnership kind of works both ways, where we're both kind of giving and receiving a little bit, so that those funds with Liger's Foundation go further. They can help more people.
Great. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing. We've got your website. Any other things we need to know about reaching out to you?
You can text or call anytime. I think the phone number is probably on our specific link. But our phone number, the 417-616-7802, can be called or text. And then emailing us, that's a good way to reach out. We do have office hours Monday through Saturday and Sunday by appointment. So we're trying to be very flexible for clients, where they can reach out when they have time, right? Again, busy
Right.
schedules, not, can't always do it through the workday. So we're working on answering the texts and calls, and the emails even through the weekend.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much and come back
Yeah.
anytime.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. You can check out Cereset.com for more information and be sure to find all of Run Radio's events, our platforms. You can listen, link over from runitstudios.com anytime.